special meeting of council to discuss the budget 2022. Tony, you're up.
Oh, we're back here?
So, I don't know if we'll need this tonight, but I brought it just in case. So I sent out to everybody the spreadsheets that I originally did and then updated it for the changes we made on Tuesday and incorporated all those changes. So I just want to kind of do a high-level overview, first of all, of where we're at. So as you know, 2021, we're estimating what that's going to be, and then we kind of base the budget off the 2021 numbers. You know, we add 2% for salaries or 3% and 2% for other types of expenses. And, you know, based on what we know is coming up, we'll add additional expenses or subtract out if something's not going to happen this year that we thought might happen in the past. So there's a list of assumptions toward the back.
Yep.
So we'll start out at the top line, earnings. I originally said, okay, let's look at 2019, or take the first half of this year and then add the second half of 2019, since 2020 was just cluster, you know what I mean? So what Joe suggested, we just take 1.5% each year, which got pretty much to about the same number that I had come up to. So we got 2,441, and that also includes a decrease of $50,000 for the potential pullout of Keebler. So that's included in there. I think I put that down as an assumption. Yeah, 50,000 for
2021.
2021, and then 150 less for 2022. And then just to stick with the earnings tax for 2022, we took 1.3% increase, because that's about where inflation is these days. So we bumped that up 3%, and then we subtracted out 150,000 for the keyboard impact. And then we stretch it out over 23 to 25 at 2.5%, 2%, 2% for 23, 24, 25. So that's how we came up with that number. Real estate taxes were 1% increase over previous year, and then we just kept increasing it each year by 1%. Local government funds, that just basically stayed about the same. Trash, that's based on our estimate of households times the amount due per household. And it's a little bit lighter this year because we had some refunds and that sort of thing for the trash stickers. But after this year, 2022, it should be approximately 286 per year until we increase those fees, whenever that may be.
Well, when do those increased fees go into effect? I don't, Eli was working on that.
The trash fees?
Yeah.
They're in.
Re-increase. It's effective, what, July?
No. It went into effect
They're
in
in.
like May. May is when we changed
May
it,
was-
and then June is when it first showed up. So if you look at the monthly
June,
report that she
okay.
sends out, June is when you see it essentially almost
On your
double.
bill. Right. Thanks.
Okay. Mayor's Court, that's based on, the first half of the year we had brought in about 35, so we said for the year we'll get it 70 for this year, and then we bumped it up over the next few years based on, I think we're going to increase some fees there at some point. Swimming pool, this is based on Joe's estimate. Right now we're at least over 100,000, and we're estimating about 125 of income, and then Joe suggested we just bump that up 10 grand per year, because we'll continue to increase fees to get, as we make the improvements, more improvements down at the pool and compete with other pools in the area. Okay, no refunds this year. Of course, last year was the huge one. We might get a little this year, for some time, but we're not including that in our budget. We're not making an assumption about that. Donation, so that 100,000 for 2021 is the private donations that will be coming in for the Murray Path.
I'm sorry, do we have those yet?
Yeah, we do have.
We do have those.
Yes. For the Murray Path.
Oh, that isn't the.
Oh, you meant for in the coming year, you meant?
Yeah, for 2021, the private donations
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That's the money that, Matt Ayer, Joe, and others have raised.
Yeah, but
It has
is
not
it-
come in. It's not come in.
It's not in.
No.
No.
Well, it's been pledged though, right? Yeah.
but it's not in our bank account.
Yeah, okay.
When do we anticipate getting it?
I think it's gonna be tied more to when the actual expense occurs, because this is gonna be tied to the landscaping, which is gonna happen in the fall.
Yeah. And then the next line is what we're going to be getting, or well, we applied for it and we're told we're going to get 184 this year and then another 184 no less than 12 months later. So it'll be sometime next year for the American Recovery Plan Act. That comes from the federal government through the state down to us. And that can be used for replacing lost revenue that we've lost in the past, like for 2000. There's a formula that Rob and I went through and said, yeah, we can definitely use it for that sort of thing, because we did lose revenue in 2020 on our earnings tax. As you can see, it dipped down from 24.19 to 23.22.
Could you go into some more specifics about what kinds of things we can use that money for?
I know it can also be used for water and sewer type projects. Just something we could use for, we have to replace sewers.
But if we use it for lost revenue, we don't have to go spend it on a project then.
Right,
Just go ahead and
right.
use it to help our general fund, because,
So we can use it wherever we want to use
yeah,
it?
yeah. So if you use the revenue justification for it.
Okay.
So there's a revenue justification, and then there's specific project areas you could spend it in, so you have multiple, there's like four different,
Ways to justify the money.
yeah, yeah.
And we're choosing to do just the general revenue replacement because that gives us more flexibility.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So it's better to be unrestricted than to have it restricted somewhere. And
So you guys know this all in and out, and I'm just learning, so
okay.
I'm just trying to speak the same language.
And then others, just hodgepodge of things like the cable license and refunds and reimbursements and
Is there something, sorry we didn't ask, I didn't ask this in
Services.
Tuesday's meeting, I apologize, but, so it's going down further. Is there something, I'm just trying to think, because I see it went down from 2019 to 2020.
let me look at 2020.
So the 2021, you just did the same formula, half times
Yeah,
two?
well, the special police protection was a lot last year, a lot more than usual. It was almost 79,000. And the year before it was only 66,000. The year before that, I know, was even less than that. So I was just being kind of conservative with that. Sale of various items, that was, we had the paper street in there. That was
Yeah, okay,
53,000.
that's a good one.
So, and the year before that was only like 11,000. So it's.
So this is one of the conundrums then, because, because the special, you're right with the police protection, the extra spending. So we've got the expenses and the revenue in the previous years, And so now if we don't put in the revenue, but if we've built the expenses off of stuff that's happening, and I'm not saying to change it, but it's a watch out. It's just clicking for me right now to say, gee.
Yeah, it's, because you get the revenue in one place and the expenses in another place, so it'd be better just to offset them
Yeah.
as an expense.
Well, and supposedly with UAN, that'll do that, which will be good. To net those two.
All right, so estimating 4,168,000 in revenue, and I looked at last year's budget, and it was 3,884,000. But if we take out the 184 and the 100,000, or the $100,000 donation, that's 284,000. We're at 3,884, but we budgeted 3,790. So we're bringing in a little more than we had originally budgeted last year. And a lot of that's because of the earnings tax is going to be more this year than we had expected last. We were being conservative last year. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Heck, yeah.
Because the earnings tax took a pretty big dive in 2020, and we knew it would come back, but we didn't know how strong it would come back. So that's the big reason why we're estimating more in revenue than we had originally budgeted last year.
What was the 2022 number? What did you say?
The 2022 number?
Yeah.
It's right,
I don't have the
or the
updated.
2020 number that we originally budgeted
Yeah, no, what are you budgeting for 22?
for 21 or 22?
22,
Total revenue?
yeah.
3925.
Oh, 3920, okay.
It should be under that long range.
Well, like I said, I don't have the,
Okay, you don't have that.
I didn't get the updated.
Okay. All right, and then we'll If you don't have any questions, we'll dive down to the expense part of it. For 2021, salaries, I just doubled them based on what was there the first half of the year. Because, there's some things that happen in the beginning of the year, like buyouts, sick pay, that kind of thing, that are extra, that we won't have in the second half of the year, so I just doubled it. Same thing with benefits. We didn't have any increase this year in health insurance, so I just doubled what we paid in the first half of the year to come up with the 2021 number. Let's skip over other operations for now. Trash, that's based on our monthly fee we pay, plus we had to pay out some refunds for people who had their trash stickers. That's why that's a little more than going forward. And then going forward, I think we had a 3% increase in the trash contract per year.
For the Rumpke contract?
Yeah.
Yeah. 3%, yes.
Okay. And then the Murray Path, right now, we originally coded it to permanent improvement, but we gotta move that out because the revenue that came in is coming in through the general fund, so that's getting moved to the general fund. So we just paid $167,000 to Pinnacle Paving, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that's why that's under the general fund. And then we did receive a reimbursement from the county for $69,000 for reimbursement of, I think it was mostly police and fire salaries for their extra time they spent cleaning things off, the cruiser and equipment. But we spent the money last year, but we got reimbursed this year, so that's why I'm
Okay.
taking out that 69. But I wanted to keep the salaries and benefits at the gross amount, all these expenses at the gross, and then just subtract out our reimbursement down here instead of putting it up top. So other operations, that's the other, where everything just kind of gets dumped in there for police, fire, John's department, tax refunds, legislative. So it went up a little bit this year. The first half of the year it seemed like the expenses were higher than normal, but just to be conservative, we just doubled it for this year and use that number. So we come up with $4,206,000. And if you net out the Murray Path and the COVID transfer, we're at $4,106,000. And last year we budgeted $4,080,000, so slightly higher than what we had originally budgeted, but pretty close. We're looking at a small deficit for 2021. And then, so let's move on to 2022 here, which is what we're here for, and to pass this budget. All right. So I kind of talked about the earnings tax already, how we said, let's go 1.3% over last year, less the 150 in Keebler losses. Real estate tax, that's a 1% bump over last year. Local government funds, same. Trash fees, that's based on our estimate of homes times the rate. And mayor's court, just bumped that up a little bit. Swimming pool, that's Joe's estimate. That's going to keep going up and up and up. And we won't have, not anticipating any big refunds or donations this year or in 2022. And then we'll get that second half of the American Recovery Plan Act funds next year. And then others, like, it's refunds, reimbursement, special police protection, and licenses, cable, building permits are in there. So that just got bumped up a little bit, and then we flattened it out over the next couple years. And as you can see at the top here, the 102.5, 102, 102, those are what we're taking the base year of 2022 and then multiplying by that number to get the long-range forecast for the next 3 years. So we're looking at $4 million in revenue $4,086,000 in 2022. Salaries, we bumped that up for 2022 3% based on inflation. And same thing with the benefits. Other operations, we kept pretty steady there. And trash based on the contract, and then no Murray Path, or hopefully that's all settled by then. And then, you know, we could have some additional COVID money come in, you never know, or some additional funds, but for now, we've spent, as of now, we spent it all, so that fund will be zero at the end of the year if nothing else happens. So we're looking at $4,280,000 of expenses for a deficit of $194 for 2022. We had projected a deficit of $290 for 21, but you know we've had a lot of stuff happen with COVID money and the refunds. BWC money came in, so we're looking at a deficit there, and then you can see even bigger deficits in the forthcoming years. So it's not a pretty picture, and you know we're going to have to figure out ways to either raise some more funds, cut out some expenses. And I know we're looking at the fire. I don't have any assumptions in here about the fire department at this point, since we don't know which way we're going to go with that. So nothing's there. Oh, also on the salaries, there was we input an amount for a village administrator. So for 2021, there was a little bit added for the last 4 months of this year, if we plan on hiring somebody in September, like we're looking at doing. And then that amount was about $53,000 for salaries and benefits.
That's in 21.
Yeah, that's in 21. And then for 20.
I'm sorry, 53 salary and benefits?
Yeah, salary and benefits. That's both of those.
And then 160 in 22.
Well, no,
Yeah.
because it adds up to 160 total, so it's another 100 and whatever. Because it's 50 incremental this year, and
Yeah,
then
so
another 110 next year.
50 is in the 2021 number in salary, and then
It's when you do incremental year over year.
160 is in the 2022 budget.
Which is a,
Incremental 110.
No, I put the whole 115 plus 40% benefit, so.
Right.
yeah.
But I'm
So
just saying,
it's-
on a year over year basis, you put
Oh.
50 in and 160, so the year increase is 110.
Gotcha, right, okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the increase. Yeah, the increase.
Correct.
Yeah.
so really, if you look, you're adding 2% to the top, to revenues, and you're adding 2% to expenses, roughly. So the difference is some incremental salaries and some lost COVID money. Essentially, that's,
A lot of lost COVID money, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, over the last 2 years,
Yeah, I
last
mean,
year.
we're still getting some COVID money in 22, but nothing after that.
But it'll still be 180 something.
Yeah, it'll be 184 this year.
Well, also lost Keebler revenue, right?
Yeah.
We got
also
that, yeah.
that's,
And how firm are we on that number? And where do we get that?
It's based on, I think Joe or you had talked to somebody down there.
Joe talked to somebody down there.
Well, I talked to the union guy down there. Joe's got a different number than I do, but
Well, his is, we used the lower, we didn't use Joe's number.
yeah, it's
We used the lower-
approximately 200. I think we agreed on 200.
250 people, $200,000 lost income.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these things combined, it adds up, you're losing revenue and you're adding expenses. And, yeah, so 194 is our, say 200,000 deficit, and then 400 the year after that, and another 400 the year after that, and another 400. I don't know if you guys want to get into any more details or specifics. I know we went through a lot of this last Tuesday, took a pretty deep dive. I mean, like I said, it's just a budget. It's not set in stone. This is just kind of what we're projecting at this point in time, based on what we know, based on our assumptions. Things could be better, things could be worse, but it's just kind of gives us a feel for where we're at. And time to make some decisions on what we need to do to fix it.
No, this is helpful. Thank you, Tony, for flagging this stuff.
You're welcome.
And just if, like for any, so we'll revisit this at the start of the new year?
Oh, sure.
So, because, again, like Tony said, we're only halfway through the year, who knows where.
Because right now, we're at 38,000 deficit, that's a rounding error. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and again, this is just general fund, so there's the other funds as well. But we'll re-go through everything all over again, just FYI, when we go into January, and we'll actually lock in, because these are not, we're not locking the budgets in right now. This is, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong.
So in
Informational.
This is just a review of where we are year-to-date.
late
We have
December,
to submit
early
something to the
January, I
state,
do
though,
what's
too.
called appropriations ordinance, and that kind of sets the budget for the spending. You know, we'll have all the numbers in by then, and we'll know where we're at for the year. And so then I'll do this appropriations ordinance that lists all the accounts and all the amounts that we think we're gonna spend out of those accounts. And we're allowed to spend up to that amount. And if we overspend, then we have to do another appropriation or borrow from the general fund.
kind of
or do something.
like raising the budget ceiling kind of situation.
Yeah, but it gives, you know, the department heads a feel for, you know, what they can spend and where they're at. Right, John? So, and then we'll, you know, is it, Joe usually sits down with you quarterly or kind of gives you the quarterly numbers and say, here's where you're at. You're way over budget or you're under budget. Something we haven't done a whole lot in the past, but now we're getting to a better point where we know at least where we're at and what we can spend in the future.
Better numbers.
Yeah, and then, you know, as far as like the permanent improvement budget, that I've sent all the funds to the county. So we haven't done we do that usually in like December, we kind of go through our permanent improvement needs. But I know what the revenue is gonna be coming in. As far as expenses, I know we're gonna need, you know, police car, we'll do some streets, and we'll have, you know, other things that I'm aware of, and I'll estimate some numbers.
But you're anticipating all these still happening in
Yeah,
2020?
yeah,
These will
there's-
happen in 2021?
Yeah, the ones that I have estimated there.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we had budgeted for earlier in the year. So I'm anticipating that we'll spend that money. You know, the swimming pool, we've spent a lot already, we're gonna spend some more. We got, you know, the fence, we just paid that in July, so that's not in the actual numbers. And, you know, we haven't even done that much on the pool repairs, have we? Yet?
Well, unless you're counting the paint and the roof.
With the leak, it's the leak.
Oh, with the leak, no, we haven't done too much
Yeah.
with the leak, no.
And John, you haven't gotten your dump truck yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
You get, you're getting a new dump truck?
Yeah, trying to replace the 2000.
Mhm.
So their numbers are still high
Mhm.
since May. So I'm working with them.
And then, you know, I know we're gonna be paying for this building and the ambulance out of there, so that's all, I'll have that again next year too. So I'll fill in the blanks for the other funds. Street fund, that's the other big one. You know, we'll bring in about 200, but I know we got a lot of street repairs to do. Right, Chris?
Yeah.
So that'll eat that up pretty quickly.
So I'm sorry, street fund and permanent improvement are separate?
Yeah, because the money comes in from different
Sure,
sources.
okay.
So we got levies for the permanent improvement, and then we got gas tax and license renewals for the street, comes in a different fund.
Gas
So-
tax.
So once we, you know, has to be used strictly for streets and roads, so once we use all that money up, then we have to go to the general fund if we have, have more to pay in streets for the year. So that's why I have this,
Petoskey in 2021?
Yeah, so Petoskey / streets, so, you know, I'm figuring we'll do quite a few streets next year, I'm anticipating, but maybe not, but at least it's something we have in the budget.
Sure.
So, you know, it could move around from this to that. But at least we know where we're at least revenue-wise, you know, we know what's coming in. And it kind of gives us an idea of what we have available to spend.
So for Petoskey, we're using the 400 number that we had, is that?
That's the overall project, but 100,000 is coming from the
Right, but then there was also separately the waterworks, right? They gave us like 168,000 last year, but the work didn't get done till this year?
Correct.
Right. We're expecting a little bit more from Waterworks too, right?
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
37,000.
Okay.
Yeah, because the waterworks now is finished, so, let's see, the first bill was the 161 that we paid out to the contractor.
And then got it from them.
37 that they'll ask for, and then we'll give them from waterworks, so, yeah.
So that was just tit for tat right there.
Yeah,
So this 131 is just what we had actually paid so far this year. We had just made a big payment on that,
Because
But if it-
originally it got
but we'll be paying
deferred.
more.
Yeah, yeah, so I'm just trying to think on a macro basis. So again, we should see expenses. Just gonna talk, you know, because we're gonna get reimbursement. I get it for the 37 and the other 100,000. The project was 400,000. We're gonna get 100,000 from Hamilton County, right? Well, and actually, this is where the bill will go directly to them, right?
correct.
Yeah, so that, which I prefer, that's a much cleaner way. So there's 300,000 expense we're gonna have for that. But then on top of that, I thought, again, the 168, we're gonna have 168,000 on top of that. 'Cause they gave us the money last year, but we didn't incur the expense till this year.
Yeah, so that's why the beginning balance is a lot higher than, you know,
Right, so it's a
because
timing
of
issue
last year,
right there.
yeah.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, I think the number's low for the expense for Petoskey. Because if I add these two numbers up, 131.6 and 268, what is that? That's like 500,000, right? Ballpark. 400,000. You see the numbers? 131,630 for Petoskey, and then 268,018 for Petoskey also. So if I add those two together, that says our total Petoskey bills will be roughly just under $400,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's gonna be more like $468,000.
Right, because the waterworks is on top of, yeah.
So I think we're understating
Mm-hmm.
the
Okay.
total. Our net out-of-pocket cost is gonna be more like, from a cash standpoint, it's gonna be $68,000 more.
I'll add that in there.
Is that, do I have it right, Chris? I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, there's definitely, we got money from waterworks early in the year, yeah, we had to pay most of that out in the payment to the contractor, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a timing difference thing, but from this standpoint, I think it's not, I think we need to put another 68,000 in for Petoskey.
But throw that 37 in as revenue too?
That's right, yeah, 'cause that's waterworks final payment
Well,
to us.
okay, so then add 68 plus 37, so make it 105, and then a credit of 37.
Okay, so you're saying that.
So the net of the, what did the Petoskey project cost us?
300.
300,000,
The village, 300,000.
yeah. Net.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Agreed.
right, yeah.
So, yeah, to your point, Tony, if you want to build the revenue in, then we'll have to put the gross amount of the expense
Yeah,
in.
got it. All right, I got it now. So we'll add 105. Then on the paramedic fund, yeah, we get a limited amount of funds there, and we typically split the EMS, fire guys. First half of years, we charge to the paramedic fund, second half, we charge to the fire fund. But with the new software, we can split that up where we can code 50/50. We can say, okay, 50% goes to this fund, 50% goes to that fund. So I don't know if you heard about that yet, but that's down the road when we get our payroll module for the new software.
I recommend everyone watch every single one of those training videos. The UAN training videos. You've got an extra 10 hours. I
Or
think.
you could watch and give us a report.
Oh, man. I'm just halfway through the accounting ones.
What, is Matt adopting it?
Hmm?
Is Matt going to start using it?
Yes, yes. He doesn't know. I just want to feel a little bit of Joni and Allison's pain.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a-
by
it's a
doing
big
this
change.
to
No
myself.
doubt.
It's a big change.
It is a big change, no doubt.
When you see one and it's less than an hour, you're like, yay, a short video.
Mhm. So we got a little bit of time left. Anybody, I don't know if you have any questions or any other thoughts, or, and I know Rob had sent out some information on the earnings tax, and if we change the credit or increase the rate.
How practical is that? I mean, to do it. I don't know what,
Well, I think that's something council can just do, from what I
Yeah.
remember hearing.
Not increase the rate, though. I think that actually, doesn't increasing the rate have to
Yeah,
go?
but if you change the credit,
Right.
reduce the credit from 1% to 0.75 or
Yeah.
whatever.
so we could do that, but not increase it.
I believe. I think we need to talk to Ed or somebody. I don't know who the right person is to say, from a legal standpoint, what can we do and not do?
But apparently it doesn't quite bring in that $1 million.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
You should have seen the number of emails that Deanna and I traded back and forth trying to understand that
And
stuff.
No, I know.
I didn't bother forwarding them to you.
Well, see, I'd already gone through that with her once, and that's why I was giving you that number, and you wanted to argue.
You were
but-
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm
No,
still
I
not-
was close. I
yeah.
wasn't exactly right.
I'm still not sure how it's gonna all pan out with the cities, because a lot of people are working at home yet. But let's say, somebody has a physical office downtown, but they're working here. But Cincinnati's still collecting that revenue. We're not getting any piece of that. I know there's been some lawsuits and things like that, but I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. I mean, a lot of people are going back to work now. But I think, if you're staying home and still working here, then
Well,
we should
and-
collect that revenue.
And the thing is, that's really interesting, is that some places are adopting this hybrid model. For example, my daughter's friends, they're gonna be working from home Monday and Friday. And then 3 other days, they're gonna be at the office. So does that shift it? I mean,
Well, somebody in payroll
If you can work from home.
right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's an accounting,
could be anywhere.
accounting
Yeah, no, I
nightmare
agree.
to track it.
Well,
Yeah.
Bill, so, not necessarily, I don't know, City of Cincinnati before, way back when I used to work for P&G, I filed for a refund from Cincinnati, but, because I was traveling internationally. So,
And did you get it?
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
yeah,
it.
but nobody else got it.
Yeah.
Nobody else got the money that I got reimbursed.
Right.
So there's, I don't think there's a way for Deanna to have visibility to somebody filing someplace, saying, oh, I'm not gonna pay you,
Yeah, it's a kind of an accounting tracking nightmare.
And also, somebody said too,
I mean, why would Cincinnati want to give up this money? We're not going to readily want to give it up.
Yeah, people would rather pay the 1.25 here than pay the,
Well, yeah, yeah.
whatever, it
they
used to
would.
be 2.1 at 1.83 or 85, whatever it is now.
yeah, it's kind of,
They would be much happier paying
Sure,
us.
yeah.
than- Like I said, I'm not sure where that's at or what's gonna happen with that. That'll-
Right.
Like I think Joe had said a while back ago, that's probably gonna take a few years to
Oh, that's in
get through the
litigation.
courts. and all that.
Yeah.
So we didn't figure anything like that into here, so.
Well, we couldn't even calculate what it would be for us, though, could we? Or maybe Deanna could, but she wasn't really going to cut loose with that
That would be a
information.
tough number to come up with, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really know.
what the actual
Yeah,
would
that'd be
be.
total guesstimate right there.
Yeah.
So Rob, when you filed that you were working out of Cincinnati, did Mariemont, I don't know if you lived in Mariemont at the time, did they come back to you and say, oh, you worked at home then or something? Well, you weren't at home though.
No, I wasn't, I
right?
was traveling.
That's right, okay.
Because if I'm out of Cincinnati on business,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right,
so,
makes
I mean, I
sense.
was traveling like 60, 70 days a year. It was like, okay, I'll file for that.
My brother-in-law did the same thing with UPS, when he lived out of the country for a while. Because UPS, no matter where you drive, you have to pay a percentage to each
Mm.
area that you.
Oh, God, can you
Good Lord.
imagine?
But he filed back.
Oh.
Multiple cities that
File, yeah.
during this month, I wasn't even in that area, or I get my little money back. They got it. It was a principle of the thing.
Yeah. And Ohio's changed a lot of that kind of stuff, so making it more business friendly.
All right, anybody else got any more questions?
Yeah.
Everybody
We'll
happy?
Walk around the block.
Everybody good? Yeah, we can stretch our legs for 20 minutes.
Okay, you adjourn?
Quarter's back.